Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Follow On with your hosts for tonight, Hamza, and alongside myself, Amar.
And every night.
It's an evening, of course, not a night, but yeah. So Amar, what are we talking about today?
So essentially, this podcast was supposed to come a month earlier, 2 months earlier actually. But what happened was, as you said in the last podcast, right? We have been slightly busy, things got haywire, but essentially we wanted to review the entire Mike Hesson's first year because he got appointed on 13th of May when Islam, after winning the trophy, not winning the trophy, but like winning the trophy.
Yeah, he won in
Winning
2025.
the trophy with Istanbul United, there was a lot of hype around Mike Hesson and his data structuring and his data structure.
Yeah.
So he got appointed, and we just wanted to reflect back as to how good or bad has he been, or what is it that he will do moving forward, or what are the expectations with him. That's the entire purpose of this podcast.
Absolutely. So let's deep dive into it. I'm probably going to talk a couple of minutes about the context he walked into the team into. Right, he inherited a team that came into after a Champions Trophy at home, where we got knocked out into the group stage. So it was the first international tournament being hosted in Pakistan after 1996. Approximately 19 years in the making, and we got out in the home. There was a whole fiasco about playing some matches in Dubai, and I think the pain of having a tournament being hosted in your home country and the final being played in the UAE itself was very bitter for Pakistani fans and the team hierarchy as well, because we were really looking forward to that moment. And before that, even the coaching structure was very volatile, right? We had Gary Christian walk out 6 months into a 2-year deal. We had Jason Gillespie walking away, and then we have Aqib Javed taking the reins for a temporary basis, and then he was moved to a director of high performance role, which meant that he also had his selection seat in place. Was the context he walked into. So let me walk you guys through who is the guy actually, who Mike Hesson was, what were the jobs he did previously.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, so we told you that this is what the context of the team, and to solve this team's diabolical era of Champions Trophy, we got in a guy with XYZ series. So I'm walk them through what was getting.
So I think he started his coaching tenure interestingly in the associate world, where he coached Argentina in 2003, Kenya in 2005, moved back to the New Zealand, his native country, where he coached their domestic team, Otago, where he won a lot of trophies, groomed a lot of players that eventually went on to play for the New Zealand. Between 2012 and 2018, he took over from John Wright. He had a tremendous record at New Zealand and home. He had a test series over England, home series ODI sweep of India in 2014. He got New Zealand to their first ever World Cup final in 2015. So the New Zealand team, which would be attributed as one of the best teams of the last 15 years, I think the foundations were laid by Mike Hesson, and then carried on to by others in the 2019 World Cup, their performances in the Test Championship that they won recently. After his stint at New Zealand, he went on to become the head coach of RCB in the IPL. He was the director of cricket there. He had no IPL trophy to share for, but he made some positive strides in RCB, where they eventually did get up to a final or two in his tenure. And then I think from 2023 onwards, PCB, I think, or the PSL management pulled off a great heist when they managed to get Mike Hesson to be the coach of Islamabad United.
At the same time, RCB was looking to let go of him because obviously they wanted a trophy and they were wondering whether Mike Hesson is the right guy for them. And then I think more importantly, it just sort of became that Mike started positioning himself as
a franchise.
As someone who understands Pakistan cricket, right? Because I remember seeing his video when he wasn't the coach around the lines of, how Pakistan players need to shut down the social media noise. They need to work in isolation and things like those to improve them. And all of those things, maybe he hasn't been able to do that during his tenure, but at least that's how he sort of got familiarized with the audience, because his YouTube channel, Coach Hesson, sort of broke into many podcasts and broke into Pakistan's Instagram, and that's how PCB also saw, okay, this guy seems interesting, talks about the right thing, has the right CV, so maybe let's bring him in and then see how it goes.
Absolutely. I think there was a lot of promises that were made, right? Changing the brand of cricket that we play in the T20 format, in the ODI format, rebranding Pakistan cricket. as a team, if you look at the early 2020s, we were a team in the limited overs cricket, dependent on Rizwan and Babar at the top, two players who were outdated in the format, at least from the outlook, and changing that to a modern cricket way where we play fearless cricket, attacking intent. And I think initially he did sort of, came into the team. The first assignment was Bangladesh touring Pakistan at the tail end of May in 2025, where we won the series 3-0. The captain of the team was Salman Agha. And I think we had some promising players, performances, Mohammad Haris, who ended up scoring 179 runs.
Where Salman Ali Agha said that if I don't make a match player out of
Saim Ayub and Hassan Nawaz,
then I would have failed as a captain.
Absolutely.
I think the fact that all three of them are no longer in the team
speaks volume about how things went haywire.
So that was the first sort of series that he was as a coach of, and then go ahead.
I think, and then what followed were series in Bangladesh where we lost. So that was the first sort of red flag that came into the team. This was also a series where Salman Mirza made debut. So I think at this point in time, two series in, what was promising about Hesson was that he was willing to make the changes, right?
Yeah.
He was willing to bring in players that fit into his philosophy. This was also the time we started seeing cracks in this attacking intent, right? Because in one of the matches we got bowled out for 110 trying to play that attacking cricket.
Everyone was talking about, we won the previous series, and everyone was okay with Hesson having some time because we understood that he is still getting used to it, he's still building a team, so it's okay for us to lose certain matches with the young squad per se.
Absolutely. And I think that what followed was series in the New Zealand, in the US against West Indies. This was, I think, the first ODI assignment.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, the captain of the team is Rizwan, right? And I think overall the series was that we won the first game. The second game we got all out at 92. So West Indies won the game. This was the third game. The second game, West Indies ended up leveled. It was a DLS impacted game with rain coming into play. So I think this sort of ODI restructuring also happened on the parallel.
Yeah, I mean at this point, Rizwan was also the captain, and I could sense that Hesson was never a fan of Rizwan.
Absolutely.
So personally, I think it was more like Hesson had to get rid of him. And it's okay for me. It's not about Rizwan or any other player. I think a coach should, whatever tenure he has to have his own players because that's a team he is building, and he should be held accountable for it. So it's okay if Hesson wants to get up and be like, okay, you know what, fuck all of these 22 players, I'm gonna bring in other 22 players. Then okay, you take a responsibility and then you move on from there.
Absolutely. I think what the cracks started to appear for me in the Asia Cup.
Yeah.
So this was the Asia Cup where you dropped Rizwan and Babar altogether. You brought in your team. By this point in time, I think it's been 5 to 6 months in your tenure.
Yeah.
So we did reach the finals where we got defeated by India. You had a new batting core. You have Sahibzada Farhan settling into his role. You have a new core of Saim, Hassan Nawaz, Salman Ali Agha playing with experience of Shaheen Shah in the bowling attack. And I think this is where things went haywire, right? Because this is the time where you could have probably doubled down on the positive result of reaching this finals. I personally don't think it was a huge positive, but you could have branded this being...
And मुझे ये भी था कि देखो, in Asia Cup we lost to technically only one team, right? We lost to India 3 times, and every time we were inch closer to winning it. Okay, and I will give that credit to Hesson and Agha that okay, they were inching towards winning it. They did not win it, which is okay. India is just miles ahead than we were at that point, and I think it's just still miles ahead. But my point was that they were not learning from the mistakes, which is what Hesson promised us. He did not promise me or promise us as fans that he will win the T20 World Cup or Asia Cup. He promised us that he will continue towards that. When you saw that 7-4 formation is not working or 8-3 formation is not working, why are you continuing doing that?
To double down on
that. Like, I think, and Asia Cup was also the realization for people that Mohammad Nawaz is very good in this series, and now that he has his doping case against him, but he was very good in his series, but he's not a match winner as let's say, Babar would like to call him. He's not that match winner, and that is what sort of came across in the Asia Cup. And more importantly, I think this was when, from Mike Hesson, he was unable to shut down the social media noise that he kept talking about. He like he was just, you could sense a sense of frustration within him, and not a lot of thinking was shining through. That was my biggest problem with it.
Absolutely. I think the amount of selection, we'll come to the selection part at least, but I think the whole premise of playing a new era or ushering a new era of T20 in Pakistan cricket, and then going back every time you face some pressure. Let's say you drop Babar. Bro, if you are dropping Babar, that's fine. Some people will agree with it, some people will not agree with it, but at least you double down on that decision, not that you bring him back 2 months later and then after another couple of series you say goodbye to him. I think that's not how it works. You need to be consistent with your selection, with the approach that you're making, and try to stay consistent. And I think that's what happened. We played a few other series leading into the 2026 T20 World Cup. We beat South Africa, we had South Africa in the T20 series, which we won. This was a series where Babar Azam returned.
Right after Asia Cup, Babar Azam came back.
Yeah, and then we also, I think during this time, this was where he also put another stamp onto his authority by dropping Rizwan from the ODI captaincy and bringing Shaheen in. Personally, I was never a fan of this call because I always felt like Rizwan in the ODI format, it was.
We disagree on that. I think for me, Rizwan never walks into a white ball team.
But yeah.
So it's for me, I don't think Shaheen was the right call for the ODI captain, but dropping Rizwan was the right call.
Yeah, I think they actually mixed formats with Salman Ali Agha and Shaheen Shah. Yeah. Salman should have been the ODI captain, Shaheen should have been the T20 captain. But nevertheless, I think the bizarre selection for Pakistan cricket continued. And leading into the T20 World Cup, where everything went weirdly, right? Because you brought back Babar Azam for the T20 World Cup, only to play him at number 4. You brought back Shadab Khan with no performances at all into the squad. You persisted with him. You ended up playing the tournament with 3 specialist players. You ended up dropping Abrar after one poor game, and then only to realize that the rest of the spin attack like Shadab, Nawaz, etc. were not playing up to the mark at all.
And you were relying a lot on Usman Tariq, who was found 1 month before the World Cup.
Yeah.
To actually just walk in and be like,
the leader of the attack.
And look, no shame to Usman Tariq, but I always thought, and I still think that it was only a matter of time when he's been found out, because he's no special. He just has this unique action. He just has a unique pause, which makes him a unique player, and that's why he could work around it. But the moment he's been found out, and which is what, let's say, SKY or Surya Kumar did very well, he was just playing him around. So that's what India did very well in the World Cup. They were like, okay, you know what? I don't want to score runs with him. We'll just play around and see how it goes.
Absolutely, and I think the one thing that I absolutely didn't like with Hesson's era was the fact that the inconsistency, right? I think we've already touched upon it. That now, even after losing the World Cup to Sri Lanka, technically it's 2026, right? You need to build towards a 2027 ODI World Cup. So he's brought in Arafat Minhas and a couple of other players. But what's probably going to happen is that maybe 1 month before the World Cup, he's going to undo the squad building that he'll do for the next 12 months and bring back the OGs. So you'll see Fahim Ashraf back in the team, you'll see Mohammad Nawaz back in the team, and that's the part that really bothers me.
I think what he needs to understand, and it's something what Hesson said himself, right? Hesson was like, shut down the social media noise, and this, I agree with that, like shut down the social media noise. But for him to do that, he needs to really double down on this. He needs to understand that his delivery, his contract is till 2027 World Cup, and if he wants to do anything, it is only through that he becomes comfortable with the fact that people will hate him, because Pakistanis are naturally emotional about the game, because there are 230 million of them who only watches one sport. So he needs to understand this and not fall back into the same pressure that we had the issue with. Like that was my entire criticism of it. I still think he was probably the best call we could have made in terms of getting a coach. I think he's still very good. He's done good work, and I don't want to take away from it. He has brought in some change in mentality where players are more inclined towards being more impactful. He has also brought in some sense of new form of cricket with Salman Ali Agha and with Shaheen Shah Afridi, more attacking cricket. He's still done us better in a way where we are not at least using to USA, which we did at the last World Cup. So these things are improvement, but it is still far from where we want Pakistan cricket to be, and it is far from what Hesson had promised us initially.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I think moving on to one important facet of any coach is the squads that they select.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the squad selection itself? Because there has been gross inconsistency, at least in my head, in terms of the squad selection. Because we've seen players being brought in and then not being given a fair chance. We've seen this with Ahmed Daniel, let's say as an example, because Ahmed Daniel was first brought into the side in July 2025 against Bangladesh.
Yeah.
He was an uncapped player, but I think he only ended up in the let's say 12 months since then. He's only ended up playing 2 to 3 games for Pakistan, which doesn't make a lot of sense in my head, right?
No, I agree. I think the problem with, like, personally, I was okay with him trying on other players, having other players sort of go through. Each team is a separate team, and then you have other squads coming in for each series depending on where it's being played. But before the T20 World Cup, you had to have your squad locked. You had to play certain level of players who would play your T20 World Cup. I felt like we did not finalize what is our squad. We did not know what is our squad looking like until the third or fourth match of the World Cup.
Absolutely. Like I think some of the calls that we were making were a little baffling in my head. Baffling in terms of, for God's sake, are you going to play Babar at number 4? I still can't get over it. It's one of the most baffling decisions I think we've ever made in our history, and we have made quite a lot of baffling decisions. So that just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
On a human level, on a personal level, and I think that's one contention that I'll keep having. That this and I'll second you on that. That the squad selection is so. There's a concept of squad building. You bringing in players with different skill sets, adjusting to the conditions. But you've known for a while that the World Cup is in Sri Lanka, or at least we are going to play all our matches in Sri Lanka, right? So you bring players accordingly, right? You wanted to bring in Usman Tariq, which makes a lot of sense because he's a mystery spinner. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you double down on batting all-rounders and compromising your spin attack altogether, right? Because that's what you went with. So there was a lot of contradiction on the way the squads were selected. Shadab came into the squad out of nowhere.
Because, okay, so a couple of things, right? For example, for me, the things that stood out. First, when Hesson came, he said that, okay, we'll give Babar the chance to prove himself in the Big Bash. We'll give him a chance to play spin and show us he has improved. But he did nothing of those, and then he came back. Same with Shadab. Shadab did not walk into the squad. I think the reason why Mohammad Nawaz did not do very well in the T20 World Cup is because we gave the limelight to Shadab and he took away what Nawaz was supposed to do. And I personally love Shadab, but the point is that he wasn't making into a squad on merit. The third point, we carried Abdul Samad throughout the building phase. We did not play him the T20 World Cup.
Yeah.
Why? Like, why was he part of the phase when he wasn't supposed to play to begin with, right? And then you saw Saim Ayub was not doing very well with opening. You saw it in the World Cup, you saw it in the Asia Cup.
Absolutely.
Find a way to either get him the form or find a way to squeeze him around the squad. You did not think of this until it was,
Too late.
And then things like, for example, Khwaja Nafi came in very late as well. Like, you were banking on Mohammad Hadis. Okay, you were banking on him. Then stick with him for some time. You brought in Khwaja Nafi, which meant you did not have a backup wicketkeeper at all, which I think sort of costed us the Asia Cup final. But you did not think this through. You came with Khwaja Nafi. He played only 1 or 2 matches before the World Cup. So you did not plan for one role which is very specific to begin with. And so I feel like this is what Hesson needs to get it right. It's no longer a league team. It is no longer the fact that you have to be there only for 3 months. You have to plan for 2 years, you have to plan for 6 years or 5 years, whatever, how long you are, but not for 3 months. And this is what I think he's not able to get right.
Absolutely. I think that's something that you need to distinguish. You need to sort of distinguish between league cricket and international cricket.
Yeah.
Because for someone like, let's say, Abdul Samad, not being selected for a franchise team is very different from being dropped off the T20 national side without any being given any chance, right? Because that adds to the mental pressure. It's something that you work towards your entire life towards, right? So you are essentially wasting someone's confidence.
Yeah. I think aage jaake there's only the ODI World Cup, right? Which is what we have now. We don't have T20 World Cup this year. And his contract, jitna mujhe yaad hai, it's only till ODI World Cup.
Yeah.
I think a few things that I would say he needs to do, and maybe you can go next. First, please decide what kind of cricket you want to play. Do you want to play attacking cricket, which let's say is the right way to go? If not, if you think we cannot play it, then decide whatever you want and stick with it. Second, decide and finalize your 20 to 22 players, whatever you want to think of, and then based on that, whatever the performance is, select a 15-man squad. But do not go back to the old players you once dropped. The third thing is that please use your own brain. Do not let social media dictate what is needed to be done. Babar Azam is great. He's a great player. I would always want him in the team. But he cannot be in the team just because 100 fans of Babar Azam are telling you that he should be part of the team.
100,000.
100,000, whatever. Please keep those things in mind. I think that's my notes to Hesson.
I agree with what you're saying. I just want to add on to the second point that you said. I actually think that you bringing back a player into the squad that you've initially dropped is very context driven.
Yeah.
So only do that once you have given the player that you've brought in instead of the old player a fair chance. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, you've dropped Nawaz and you've brought in Arafat. So only drop Arafat and bring back Nawaz if you think Arafat has been given a fair chance and he's not delivered, and B, only do that if there's no other alternative to Nawaz and Arafat, right? So if there's no player C that you think can deliver and Arafat has been given a fair chance and he's not delivered up to your marks, then only bring Nawaz back. Just don't randomly select and unselect someone on the basis of a series or a couple of series. Give them a fair shot, give them the confidence that they can deliver.
And I think one more thing I want to add is that please give role clarity to players. Why is Arafat in the team? Please tell him that this is what your role is, this is our expectations from you, and only do this, and if you do this then you are good to go. Tell Babar what is his role. I think in T20 World Cup, the other problem that I personally felt sort of happened is everyone was clear on their role on paper, but no one was really clear as to what their role is.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that sort of became a problem because you need to decide where, based on the rules, as to what the player expectations are. You cannot have the same expectations from Babar as you have from Abdul Samad. And that is what you need to sort of give the message to the players as well.
Absolutely, agreed. What is your overall rating of the Hesson era so far?
I think, look, I won't be too critical. He has not won us the World Cup, he's not won us the Asia Cup. But he did bring us from at least winning matches against USA and Zimbabwe. So I'll give him that. I will rate him as a 6.5 with potential to go up to 8 if he does very well in the ODI World Cup. But that's about it.
I think for me, Hesson, it would have been a very unrealistic expectation if the expectation was that he would deliver, let's say, one of the World Cups that he's played in. I think the expectation was already that he would usher the new era in terms of playing style, in terms of attitude, in terms of the mental fortitude of our players. And for me, I've yet to see all of those things. I'm not really judging him on the basis of World Cup. I'm judging him on the basis of consistent performance, consistent brand of identity of how you want to play. And for those factors, he's not yet delivered to the standard that I expected him to. For me, he's a solid 5 out of 10 thus far, which is a bit harsh, I understand. If you look at it absolutely in terms of the results, but I wouldn't give bilateral series a lot of weightage because a lot of teams rotate in the modern day, and you are also sort of tempering pitches to win matches. So I wouldn't just call it. It's sort of a gray area for me, not a black and white, the results part. So which is why I'll judge it on the basis of the criteria that I just mentioned. So it's a 5 for me and not anything more.
Fair. No, I see the sense, I see the logic in it. I think, but that's okay. I think he has a lot to prove in the next coming series.
Yeah.
And he has a lot to prove in the ODI World Cup. And if we somehow manage to make it to even semis in the ODI World Cup, for me it's a success. Because I don't see our team winning it, if I'm being very, very honest. I don't see how we will, unless we do something magical, which can happen with Pakistan.
Yeah.
But at this point, I do not see it.
Absolutely agreed, Amar. Let's see where the win takes us. But anything other than a win in the ODI World Cup, I think we won't remember it because history only remembers the winners.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's that. I think on that note, let's conclude another episode of the Follow On. We'll be back next week with another episode. Do let us know what you want us to speak about, and we are happy to bring a voice to that.
It'll be a busy season going on with cricket, so hopefully we can keep up with that and give you episodes on regular. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you guys. Bye.